Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Austin, and this is a re-recording of a presentation I did most recently at the Colorado Congress of Foreign Language Teachers Spring 2023 conference. And as I go through this, please, if there's anything you have questions on, use my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my email, hit me up. I'm absolutely happy to help. So this is all about how to travel for free. So I'm assuming that anybody listening to this has some things in common with me. Number one, we love to travel. And I'm a world language teacher, so travel is huge for me. Number two, we're open to creativity because we're told, travel for free? How might I be able to do that? And number three, we were neither born into nor married into wealth. So we're here to learn about travel for free. I realized quite a while ago that my finances cannot quite support the travel habit that I have. And along with a degree in French, I also have an art degree. And I think that's part of why I thrive on creative challenges. So my challenge is, how can I get abroad for little to no money? And it's never, ever, ever a question of, well, can I get abroad right now? Can I get abroad on the money I have? No, it's always about how. So remember that. And then also going into this presentation, there are several companies that I bring up. I am not employed by any of these companies. I don't have family ties to any of these companies. I'm just using them as examples. So I'll probably remind you during the presentation. Also, these are all educator related options. So I'm not going to talk about traveling for free being a worker on a private yacht, or traveling for free because you are working on an organic vegetable farm in Northern Ireland. No, this is primarily geared toward educators working with the school calendar and doing things that are professionally relevant to us as teachers. So this is what I'm going to cover. A little bit about working for travel, hustling for travel, and then finally studying for travel. And then at the end, if you have questions, I'll have my contact info up there for you again. My goal is that every participant, when I present this at conferences, or if you're watching on YouTube, will be able to get abroad for less than $250 within 2 years of hearing this presentation. And ideally, it would be $0, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of wiggle room because there are some incidentals that could come up in some of the things that I will show you. So let's start with work for travel. Now, there are three main options that I see here. You can be working with your students traveling with you. You can be working with your students traveling without you. And you can work for travel with other kinds of student travel that don't involve you. So let's talk about that top one first. Your students traveling with you. So that means you are taking student trips abroad. I have been doing this since 2004. I really believe in it. I absolutely love it, but it most definitely is work, and it's work that you're not paid for. So I have a QR code there that will take you to something that I'm going to talk about here. I am going to talk about EF tours, education first. There are tons of companies out there that do educational travel, many of which are very good. I have traveled with multiple companies. I'm going to use EF as an example because they're kind of the biggest. They're pretty old. They've been doing this a while, and they've got kind of a system down. So if you would like to take students abroad, you contact EF, and if you get 6 students enrolled, they will give you a free training tour. So that right there, free travel. Currently, and again, this is being recorded in early 2023, your options are Barcelona, Belize, Berlin, the Dominican Republic, Madrid, Lisbon, Madrid, Oh, I have Madrid twice. Panama, Paris, and Rome. There's a couple of those that you have to qualify for, but not all of them. So what that means is they are investing in you, and they're going to send you abroad to learn what their trips are like and to take workshops during the day, learning about what they do. You do not have to take your students to the same place as your training tour. So, for example, let's say you want to take your students to Shanghai. That's fine. Your training tour can happen in Panama. Totally unrelated. Completely. They can be the same, but they absolutely don't have to be. And remember, you'll get airline miles for the trip that you take on your training tour. So I'm just going to completely make this up. Let's just say you get 5,000 miles for your training tour. Okay, great. Let's keep that in mind. So you've now got a free trip abroad, and you got 5,000 miles for taking that free trip. Your costs really here are pretty minimal. EF is going to really cover the flight, the hotel, usually most of the transportation in the country. It will cover breakfast, most of the dinners, if not all. And you'll be responsible for lunches generally and spending money. So again, minimal cost, but you'd be spending money on lunches if you were staying home. You'd be spending just regular old fun money if you were staying home. So I think that's kind of a wash. You can go to that QR code to read more about the training tours if you'd like. Then this QR code takes you to EF's website where you can see all of the tours that they currently offer that are kind of like pre-packaged tours. You can always do custom tours as well. So you travel free every time you get 6 students enrolled. So that means you'll get more airline miles. So if you get 6 students enrolled and it's your first time leading a tour with EF, they don't care if you've done it with any other company. If you are new to them, they send you on a training tour. So you got your training tour for free. Then you get 5,000 miles. And again, I'm making that up. It could be different depending upon where you go. Then you take your students abroad. And so that gets you another free trip abroad. And you get miles with that trip. So let's say that that trip is also 5,000 miles. So from doing all this, all of a sudden you got 10,000 miles. And depending upon the airline, depending upon where you're going, that could very easily be a one-way ticket somewhere in the US, which cuts the cost of a round trip ticket in half. You'll also earn reward points with EF tours, which can get you more free travel. So basically you earn points per student per day of your trip. And then the more trips that you take with EF tours, the more those points add up faster as you go up their like level of like how many trips you've done with them. You're eligible for more points for per student. So with those reward points, I have, for example, taken a trip that was almost all expenses paid. Again, I had to pay for like lunches to Lisbon, Portugal, and my husband got to come on that one. I got another free trip from my reward points to Costa Rica through EF Tours, and my husband got to come on that one. So I've taken numerous free trips through EF, couple with rewards, many with students, and then my one training tour, and that one was actually to Berlin. You can also earn free travel when your students travel without you. CIEE is a company that I really, really love, and they have a program called High School Study Abroad. It is excellent. It is for students who, it's the summer before your freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior year abroad. It is, okay, for sure summer before sophomore, junior, and senior. I'm not sure about incoming freshmen because I haven't had any students do that. I do, however, know that once you graduate, that summer after graduating high school, this is not applicable to you. Then you go into college programming. But here is why this program is great. Students can travel abroad for free. There is a wealthy woman in California who has given much of her money to CIEE. And she really believes in what they do. She really believes in study abroad as a transformative experience, and she really believes in language learning. So if you are a world language teacher in particular, this might apply to you. Other teachers, this could apply as well. But students can travel abroad for free because this woman gives, it's about $3.4 million a year in scholarship money. So you can travel abroad, or the students can apply to go on any number of trips. You can use that QR code there and see all of the trips that they offer. And they're so cool. There's themed ones. There's language-based ones. There are some that are leadership, some that are fashion designs. There's one in Korea that's K-pop. Lots of really cool stuff that students can do, and they can apply for these scholarships. A couple summers ago, I had a student of mine get a full scholarship from CIEE, and she spent 1 month that summer studying in Paris, and it was absolutely remarkable. I've had multiple students do this program, and I think it's excellent. So this is great for students, but what can it do for teachers? Well, the great thing here is that it benefits both students and teachers. So teachers really get students applying to go on these trips and to get the scholarships. They're more likely to get the scholarships if they choose one of the language themed study abroad experiences as one of their top 3. So they have to put their top 3. They're not guaranteed their first choice. But this year in 2023, they extended the deadline for the scholarships to March 1st. Typically, the deadline is mid-January. So if you're listening to this presentation not in 2023, mid-January is what you're probably looking at. If you have students apply and go, if you have 10 students go on a CIEE high school summer abroad in one summer, CIEE will send you as their teacher to one of their programs abroad so that you can check it out and see what's going on. So there you go, free trip for you. This is my contact. Tanya is so great and so responsive. She is in my region. I'm not sure how many other regions she has or where exactly her region covers. I'm in Colorado, but you can contact her, and if you are not in her region, she'll definitely hook you up with who your contact person is, and she's great. CIEE also has teacher opportunities. So all of these high school summer abroad experiences need teachers. The experiences last for about a month, and you can be the teacher teaching them, teaching other students, or I suppose you could be teaching yours, but you can be one of the CIEE program specialist teachers. And again, that QR code will tell you more about the opportunities that they have available, and that can change from year to year as well. Now we're going for hustling for travel. So no longer working for travel. Everything in the working section, you really do need to work. Here, hustling for travel, this could mainly be done in your pajamas at home. First thing that I think everybody should do is sign up for an account on Going. And I am recording this the first week of February 2023, and this company is in the midst of changing right now. It used to be called Scott's Cheap Flights, and it's shifting like literally right now and becoming a company called Going. So what this was there was a guy, I believe he was in his 20s, literally a dude named Scott. And he was really good at finding cheap airfare and took all sorts of trips abroad real cheap. And his friends and family were like, how are you doing this, man? How are you finding all these things? So he kind of started like a newsletter for them or an email, getting it all out, and word spread. So then he's like, well, maybe I can make something of this, and got this entire website, had a team. It was and is simply amazing. I really recommend at least starting with the limited version. It's free. It will send you weekly emails with really great travel deals. I have always done the free one, and I've gotten great deals. The most recent deal I had was I went to Switzerland for $200 and something. It was really cheap, and it was round trip. Now, these flights, these prices generally don't last long. So if you see one come through that you're like, oh my God, that's really good, and those dates could work, I want to go to that location, just get on it, book it. And you have 24 hours on all airlines to cancel a flight and get a full refund. So you can always just book right away and have 24 hours to think about it. The premium version, I actually think would be really great. With the premium version, you get more flights, more deals, and they're better. So you get in there some mistake fares, like, oh my gosh, I can go to Rome for $89 on Delta round trip. What? Just book it. Book it, book it, book it. And think about it in 24 hours and decide if you can actually make it work. But usually when these mistake fares happen, the airlines will catch on to the mistake relatively quickly. So you need to be on it fast. And $49 a year, man, if you got a mistake fare like $89 to Rome, $49 is nothing. You're still paying less than $150 for the flight and the premium version of going. So I really recommend it. And multiple times per year, there will be a sale, like Black Friday, 20% off the premium subscription. And I really like getting those emails. I think it's good company. And I don't know anyone who's done the Elite, but that one would be great if you're really into flying first class and want some of the fancier things. Then we come to travel hacking. What is it? It's the art of maximizing credit card rewards to get free or highly reduced travel. There are a lot of people on the internet who blog about it, and you can Google and tons of names will come up. The Points guy is one of the most well-known ones, and there's a QR code to go to his website. But some things you got to know. Travel hacking, despite the word hacking, it actually is completely legal, and it's really fast. It gets you miles in a really fast way. You don't really have to work for it, and you can do it all from the comfort of your home. You can use the hacking to get flights and hotels for free, so it can be great for multiple aspects of travel. The things that I am going to show you are just scratching the tip of the iceberg with travel hacking, but it's a great way to go. I am going to recommend when you first start to shoot for 60,000 miles. Now, it used to be that most airlines could get you abroad to Europe, I'm just using that as an example, on 60,000 airline miles for a round trip flight. Things have changed. Now airlines are doing more what they call dynamic pricing. So it depends the time of year you're flying, time of day you're flying, day of the week you're flying, all of that makes a difference. So you might be able to get a round trip flight to Europe for a little less than 60, maybe a little more than 60, but 60 is like a really good starting point. And again, I'm just thinking Europe for this example. So I went yesterday online, and looked up, what is Delta offering right now? And I saw this card, and there's some things I want to point out. So it's a limited time offer. They all are going to say that because they're constantly changing what the offer is. Currently, you can earn 70,000 bonus miles with this American Express Gold Delta Sky Miles card. 70,000 miles will get you to Europe round trip. So right there, this card is great. The spending requirement is $2,000. So to get the bonus, you have to put $2,000 on your card in 6 months. That is a ridiculously low amount of money and a ridiculously long amount of time to do it. That's why I think this card is so great right now. But again, it's going to change all the time. It has a $0 introductory annual fee for the first year, which is really great. You have 365 days where you don't have to pay for the card. Then once the second year starts, you have to pay $99. However, you don't actually have to pay it. And we'll get to that. This card in particular has some good fine print. You earn 2 miles per dollar at restaurants and 2 miles per dollar at United States grocery stores. So let's say you get this card and you have to make $2,000 in eligible purchases in 6 months. And let's say you do that entirely on grocery purchases. So you spend $2,000, but you're going to get 2 miles per dollar spent. So that means you're going to get 4,000 miles just from grocery store purchases. Then you're going to get your bonus of 70,000 miles because you spent $2,000 in 6 months on the card. And so ultimately, you're going to have 74,000 miles just from doing the bare minimum to get the bonus miles. And by the way, when I'm talking about these cards, I never, ever, ever talk about carrying a balance. When travel hacking, the best thing you can do is charge something and then at the end of the week, look at everything you charge, pay it off. Or you could even do it daily. I think weekly works better, but whatever's best for you. So let's talk a little bit about the miles. When I look for travel hacking cards, I prefer to get cards that will give me at least 50,000 miles. That makes it a little bit more worth my time. And cards will change up their offers. So keep on coming back, like quarterly maybe, or every other month, looking at the airline that you like best, or maybe all of them, whatever, and seeing what is their current offer. You also want to see, does this card give bonus miles for referrals? This can be really great. My friends and I have a whole chain. So it starts with family friends, and he gets a card and he gets the bonus. Then he refers his wife and he gets $5,000 for that referral. Then she does her stuff and gets the bonus, and she refers me. She gets $5,000 for the referral. I do all my stuff, get the bonus. Then I refer my husband. He does all his stuff, he gets the bonus, and then he refers another friend of ours who then refers his wife. And it just goes down this chain. So everybody's getting 50,000 miles, 60,000 miles for the card, but then an additional 5,000 or whatever it is in bonus miles for referring. And that can be pretty great too, easy miles. So like I said, the 70,000 mile bonus with a 2K spending requirement, it's going to be at least 72,000. But if you did it on something where you get double miles for any certain category, maybe it's gas or restaurants or grocery stores, whatever it is, then it can be more than 72,000 miles. Let's talk about annual fees for a minute. Some fees you're going to pay up front. So there will be some cards that $95 and $99 are the most common, and you'll have to pay them right when you get the card, and then again when the card renews. I have had cards that have no annual fee. I've had some that have 95, some that have 99. The most expensive one I have is one Delta Amex card that has a $250 yearly fee. However, every single year that card renews, it's the $250 fee, but Delta then gives you one companion pass to use that year. And the companion pass is good for one free round trip ticket for someone to travel with you somewhere in the United States. And that could be worth more than $250. So I actually think that fee is a little bit of a wash. Other cards you have to pay after a year, but you don't necessarily have to pay it. So when you get a card for travel hacking, meet your spending requirement, pay everything off right away. Then you can decide, like, do I want to keep the card or not? If the card doesn't have an annual fee, you might as well keep it. Like, it's not hurting anything, but keep it for at least a year, no matter if it has a fee or not. At 366 days, then decide, okay, do I want to keep it? Now, if you don't want to keep it, maybe because you don't want the fee, then what you should do is day 366, you call the number on the back of the card and say, hey, I want to cancel my card. They will say, okay, why? And you'll say, well, I just don't really want a card with a fee. Sometimes they will say, you know what? I can waive that fee for an additional year. Okay, great. Other times they will say, okay, well, our card has a fee. I get that you don't want a card with a fee. All right, cancel, and you don't have to pay the fee because that first year has nothing. It's the second year that has the fee. So if you cancel it at the beginning of the second year, you're typically free and clear there. Oh, and I talked about some cards will give you that travel credit. So it's important to read the fine print because you don't want to just write off a card with an annual fee immediately because it could be lucrative. So you might be thinking, how do I meet the spending requirements? Because $2,000 with the Delta card, $2,000 over the course of 6 months, for most people, could be pretty possible. You think about everyday purchases. Put all of your food on it, all your groceries, all your restaurants. Put all of your gas on it and transportation. Put all of your incidentals on it. If you have like a medical bill, put it on that card. Major purchases. So my husband and I never have a major purchase without getting new travel hacking cards. So for example, when we got a new deck, when the old one was falling apart, we went with a company, first of all, that had no issue with us paying with a credit card. I got a card, my husband got a card. And then we told the company we're going to pay with 2 cards. My husband put half the deck on his, I put half the deck on mine. Then we each got like 60 or 70,000 bonus miles just from one thing. So think about if you have any major purchases coming up. There is also something called manufactured spending. Basically, it is spending money without spending money. It's fake spending money. And you might be thinking, what does that even mean? I'm going to show you. In order to do manufactured spending, you need to get a friend or a family member to partner with, and both of you need to have a PayPal account to make this work. So step 1 is you link your travel hacking credit card to your PayPal. And then you send your friend or family member $2,000. We're going to use this Delta card as the example. Now, whatever card you get, it might be $3,000, it might be $4,000, it might be $1,500, whatever. I'm going to use the $2,000 Delta card. So you pay your friend $2,000 from your credit card in PayPal, because PayPal allows you to link like a checking account or a credit card. So you can pay via the credit card. And when you do it with a credit card, they charge you a 2.9% fee. So the fee for this, I think, is $58. So think about it. That Delta card gets you 60,000 miles, which might be enough to get you to Europe, depending upon dynamic pricing. and all you would be paying is $58. So think about that. Then you have now used the credit card to send $2,000 to your friend's PayPal. Your friend then gets the money in their PayPal and they transfer it right to their bank account. No problem. They are not using a credit card. They're just getting money from you and they're putting it in the bank. Then they're going to transfer you that $2,000. Now, they might transfer it directly to your account if you have linked accounts. If you're a family member, that would be common. They might write you a check. They might Venmo you, whatever. But they're going to give you $2,000. Then you take that $2,000 and pay off the credit card. You have spent no money, but it looks like you have. Then you use the miles you just earned to get a free flight. Yay! And there you are. Manufactured spending got you there. It is totally legal to do. It is just working the system that is there. And do banks like it? No. But it's also hard to stop something that is legal to do. Now, one thing that some people do is they're like, well, I'm not sure about this manufactured spending, or I don't really want to pay a 2.9% fee. So what they'll do is they'll use their card for everyday purchases up into a certain point, and then they'll be like, okay, I'm done. I have like a week left to meet the spending requirement. I'm just going to do manufactured spending for the remaining $500 or whatever it is to get to your spending requirement. So let's talk about this. Is travel hacking really that easy? Is it as easy as that? And I would say yes. Yes, it is. It's really that easy. But what will this do to my credit? A lot of people ask me about that. And I've been doing various forms of travel hacking for a few years and started with my credit in the excellent range, and I'm still in the excellent range, and it's never gone out of it. The key is not carrying a balance. So what generally happens is when you apply for a card, your credit will take a little hit. You know, it'll take a couple point hit because your credit is pulled by the bank. Then what will happen is after you get the card and after you charge some things on it and you pay it right off, that's good. So it'll go back up a little bit. And then the credit bureaus will see that you have more credit available to you, but you're ultimately using less. So that ratio of credit you're using to credit that's available is important for your credit score. And as long as you don't keep a balance, then again, it goes up. So it kind of just makes your credit do this as you travel hack. How do you keep track of your travel hacking? Oh, you got to have a spreadsheet for sure. You want to keep track of what the card is that you're getting, what bank, so like American Express, Barclays, Chase, Citibank, what is your spending requirement? What's the bonus? How long do you have to hit the spending requirement for you to get the bonus? And you might want to have other incidentals on there, like, oh, this card gives me double points for gas. This point gives me double points for restaurants. Or this card has a no annual fee. Or this one has a $250 annual fee. Keep track of all of that. You definitely also want to keep track of when you got the card so that you know when to cancel it or not. Your call. Isn't it a lot of work? Well, there's steps, yeah, but it's all done at home. So I kind of think, well, yeah, it's some work, but it's a lot more work to me to actually have to go out and figure out how I can come up with $1,500 to get a trip abroad to support my travel habit. So it's, what would you rather do? Should you hang on to the cards or cancel them? Well, it depends. Like I said, if it doesn't have an annual fee, you can keep it, no big deal. But also you want to pay attention to what the card is, because many of them you can cancel and after a certain period of time get the card again and get the bonus all over again. So a friend of mine is actually on a certain card. Oh, I forget which one. He is on his 4th time getting the bonus with that particular card. So like I said, you want to hold on to the card for at least a year, because credit bureaus will look at that, but at least a year. And then if it's a card that you're like, ooh, I want this bonus again, this is a good airline for me, then cancel the card. And you can just Google, like, how long after I cancel the United Explorer card can I get the bonus again? And you'll find out. There we go. Oh yeah, once you get the bonus, is it done? Maybe. The Amex ones with Delta, generally you get 1 round and then it's done, unfortunately. A lot of the other ones, however, that are airline specific cards, those you can get over and over again. There are other things to know too. So you want to consider if one of the cards you're getting is, if the bank associated with the card is Chase. Chase has what's kind of commonly referred to as the 524 rule. Chase will not approve you for a card, or at least you can't get a bonus, if you have opened 5 credit cards across all banks, not just Chase, in 24 months. So you want to kind of be careful of that. You also might want to consider non-airline cards. The airline specific cards, like the Delta one I showed you for the $2,000 spending requirement to get you 60,000 miles. I really think the airline cards are great when you're first starting because they give you miles. It's easy. Now, there are a lot of really great travel hacking cards that don't give you miles. They give you points on their travel system. So the Capital One Venture card is actually one of the ones that's really well known and good for travel hacking. They give you points, but it's not 1-to-1. It's not like 60,000 points is 60,000 miles. All of the cards are going to have their own kind of little ratio. And there are pros and cons. So if you are working with airline miles, there can be blackout periods. There can be like, oh, no, sorry, we already gave up all the reward seats on that particular flight. If you are working with a card that has just points and it can be applied to any airline, those, it's a lot easier to get flights that you want. So pros and cons. And again, people like the points guy will have a lot of information about that if you want to read deeper. Now we'll get to studying for travel. Teachers for Global Classrooms. This is a program through IREX and Fulbright. I think a lot of teachers are pretty familiar with the term or the Fulbright organization and Fulbright exchanges that last a semester or even a whole school year. I'm focusing on Teachers for Global Classrooms in this presentation because it's short term. Everything I'm presenting to you today is short term, but there are long-term options out there for getting abroad for free, and Fulbright's a great one for that. Teachers for Global Classrooms is all about global education, which is a fascinating field of education that I am a hardcore believer in. So I really advocate for this program. You get a semester of online professional development that's pretty intense and I've been told really good. Then you have a professional development weekend with all of the other Fulbright teachers who are Teachers for Global Classroom Fulbright teachers in DC, where you're doing more work together, more professional development. Then you have a 2 to 3 week field study, and there are locations around the world. You'll put in your application your top 3 choices of areas, not of countries. And you're not guaranteed your top choice. A friend of mine who lives in Manhattan just got back from her Teachers for Global Classroom field study in Finland, which I think was probably endlessly fascinating. And the deadline in 2023 is February 20th. For the past few years, the Teachers for Global Classrooms deadline has been in February. So if you're watching this and February has already passed, it's no big deal. Just kind of put it on your calendar to check in. Usually in December, it is when things really start coming up and being a lot more up to date on their website for the next cohort. So just kind of think February is when things are probably going to be due. The date will depend upon the year. The NEA Foundation Global Learning Fellowship. This one, I actually was a fellow. I was in the fellowship class of 2018, I believe. And man, hands down, I have been teaching for 21 years, and hands down, this was the best professional development I've ever had. It was absolutely remarkable. It gave me 1 year of professional development in global education. We would have online webinars. And then, like Teachers for Global Classroom, we had a professional development weekend in Washington, D.C. All of the fellows met, and the sessions we had there were great. We were meeting with leaders from the field of global education, meeting with each other. All of the fellows were super passionate about what we're doing. And it culminates in a field study where you're studying the education in a particular country. This year, the applicants who apply this year to become part of the class of 2024, the field study is in Costa Rica. My field study happened to be in South Africa, which was just absolutely unbelievable. This summer, the class of 2023 is also going to South Africa. Peru has been a common place that the NEA Foundation Global Learning Fellows have gone as well. And the deadline is April 1st of 2023. And this is also pretty typical for the NEA Foundation to do the beginning of April. So if you're seeing this after the deadline, it's okay. Just keep on reading about it. And then toward the end of the year, November, December is when they start getting out information for the next cohort, and they'll announce where the next field study is. This one's I really believe in this one. Both Teachers for Global Classrooms with Fulbright and the NEA Foundation Global Learning Fellowship, it is a almost all expenses paid trip. So it's going to cover all of your PD. It's going to cover your trip to Washington, D.C., the lodging and the airfare. It will cover your field study. And for me, the Global Learning Fellowship with the NEA Foundation, it was most of our meals, not all, because some of our meals were during free time. But again, like I said earlier, I think that's kind of a wash because I'd be paying for my meals if I were not on the fellowship. So definitely apply for this one. It's so good. And after I was an NEA Foundation Global Learning Fellow, there were 2 different years that I got to come back and be a reviewer for applications, which was so fascinating. There's so many teachers out there doing like amazing big things. And it was a really great experience. But through that, I got some tips. Please read the questions and answer them directly. There are some people who will write really beautiful things sometimes. And I'm like, this is great, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the question. And if you don't understand the question, you can certainly ask. You can contact the NEA Foundation or Fulbright and just get clarification. Read everything you can about the program. I cannot stress this enough. Go to the website of the fellowship that you're applying for, print it out, print everything. Take a highlighter, highlight all the keywords. Then in your application, put in those keywords. They're already telling you that they think those words are important. So start using them and show that you know what they mean, and not that it's just lip service for you, that you have used those words in your teaching practice, in your classroom. I don't mean like verbatim, stood up and said the word, though maybe, depending on it. but I mean that word really embodies what you do and what you bring to your students. Please don't beg. You would think this goes without saying because it's not professional, but I remember one time I was reviewing applications and there was an applicant who wrote, "I have wanted to go to Peru for forever. Please pick me, pick me." Like literally, "Please pick me!" exclamation point. And it came up multiple times in this individual's application. Everybody else that I was reviewing was talking about their professional accomplishments and how they can bring these concepts into the classroom and what their interests are professionally. And then there was this one. "Please, please, please pick me. I really want to go. I wanna. The score was really, really low on that one. Please use spell check. Again, that's just part of professionalism, and it really helps the reviewers understand what you mean. And if you have questions, again, ask them. There are, Fulbright has Teachers for Global Classroom webinars that they'll put on for people who are interested. There are Facebook groups for people who are applying. You can find them, and people who have done it in the past will share what they have done and why and how, and answer questions. So really reach out, network to get those fellowships. And separate your points. So if a question has 3 parts, for example, it can be difficult for reviewers when you just write one big paragraph, because we're trying to figure out to what extent are you answering each part and what are the assets you bring to each part of those questions. So if the question has 3 parts, separate out your answers. That makes it a lot easier for the reviewer to know what you're doing, what you're saying, and what kind of a fit you would be for the program. Fund for Teachers has, it's an interesting piece. You can essentially determine your own professional development program and apply for a grant to get that to happen. It might be one that is out there that you want to be a part of that you don't have the funds for. It also might be one that you actually created, kind of like an independent study. And the application process is currently not open for that, but will reopen in the fall. So there are some things, kind of deadlines throughout the year that you can pay attention to for studying and doing professional development to get free travel. And this is just kind of a bonus one, GEO. This has discounted travel for teachers. And I hopped on a couple days ago to just check out where their prices are at. This is not free. This is not going to get you my goal of traveling abroad for $250 or less, but I think it's a good organization to check out. Airfare is not included in the price, but I went and I was like, okay, what's a trip to Morocco going to be? And I found one on their website, and this is pretty common. This was not like an outlier. 15 days, 14 nights for less than $1,200 plus the airfare. But again, you can travel hack the airfare and maybe not have to pay out of pocket. So go check out what they offer. Highly recommend that. All right, we're at the end. I hope that there have been some things in there that have piqued your interest, that have given you hopefully some good ideas, things to try for. But again, absolutely contact me via social media or via email and let me know if you have questions. I might not know the answers. I can maybe direct you to someone who does, but if I know the answers, I'm happy to help you out. So thank you so much. I'm really happy that you took the time to listen, and I hope this gets you abroad for free or at least a minimal amount of money. Good luck. Thank you.